This is Good Morning Nigeria, and we are live still on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Now, to set the tone for our first topic this morning, which is on the suspension of Twitter in Nigeria, let's listen to this background report by our correspondent, Anthony Forson.
If they say the ban is not effective, how come they say that they are losing billions of naira every day? And if the ban is not effective, how come that Twitter is reaching out to us now?
The minister, Mohammed, made it clear that Twitter was banned in Nigeria, having become the platform of choice for separatists to promote their agenda. He said all those talking about freedom of speech and investments are doing so because there is a country called Nigeria.
The reason why we took the decision is because we believe that every interest in Nigeria today is inferior to the corporate existence of Nigeria. Probably if they understand why we are doing so, probably their views will change. And frankly speaking, this is a time when politicians should rise above, divisions and queue behind the country.
The minister said the government is not unaware that Twitter actively supported the EndSARS protests in Nigeria, where 6 soldiers, 37 policemen, and 57 civilians were killed, in addition to the valuable public and private assets destroyed.
Twitter definitely does not mean well for this country. Its interest in Nigeria is inimical to our growth. To do business in Nigeria, they must register as Nigerian companies. 2, they must be licensed. 3, they will have to refrain from using the platform for activities that are inimical to the corporate existence of Nigeria.
Consequently, the minister explained that the federal government has already taken a position that all OTT and social media platforms operating in Nigeria must register with the Corporate Affairs Commission, be licensed by the National Broadcasting Commission, and strictly adhere to the conditions stipulated in their licenses. He said the present situation where such operators neither have offices in Nigeria nor pay taxes to the government for the billions they earned can no longer be tolerated.
All right, that was actually Adamu Sambo's background report for us, and not Anthony Forson. Of course, we understand the confusion there. Anthony Forson, of course, covers the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, who, incidentally, is right here with us this morning to speak more to the issues of the suspension and matters that arise from that decision. Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Mohammed, thank you once again for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me once again.
All right, Honorable Minister, let's begin this way. 1 week ago today, the federal government of Nigeria announced the suspension of Twitter in Nigeria. And but there are a number of course, matters arising from that development. Is this, in essence, a storm in a teacup, or it's a major government position that has, of course, a number of ramifications?
Thank you, Kingsley, and I'm glad that you are using the correct words. Twitter has not been banned. We've only suspended, albeit indefinitely, the operations of Twitter in Nigeria. Second, and it's very important, we are suspending their operations indefinitely for the simple reason that the platform is being used persistently to promote activities that will lead to the death of Nigeria as a country. And I think it's important to understand and appreciate this. People have tried to say, oh, the operation of Twitter was suspended because they deleted the president's, message. I think that is very unfair. We were very clear in what we said. We were very unambiguous that if any platform in Nigeria continues to promote the views of those who want Nigeria to be divided, we will suspend their operations. Secondly, we went ahead to say that henceforth, all OTT over the top and other social media platforms operating in Nigeria will have to register first and foremost with the Corporate Affairs Commission, then apply for licensing with the NBC, that is the Broadcasting Commission. In that way, they will have, or the operations will be regulated by the terms of their licenses. For instance, most of these OTT and social media platforms operating in Nigeria today have no offices in Nigeria. They're not registered in Nigeria. They make a lot of money out of Nigeria and they pay no tax to the government. So for us, it's a very fundamental thing. And frankly speaking, I do not see why the brouhaha about one, suspending the operation of Twitter in Nigeria. Why? We gave the reason that this has become the platform of choice for the separatist leader in particular, who stays comfortably in Europe and directs people to attack the symbols of our sovereignty, the symbols of government authority, such as policemen, military, INEC offices, correctional centers, and co. And we say, you will not be allowed to operate in Nigeria if you don't remove those tweets. Before the suspension, mind you, we've made several pleas to them to remove those tweets, where Nigeria is described as a zoo, where all of us are described as monkeys, where they say that if a Nigerian soldier enters into Biafra, it is death. And Twitter said those tweets did not offend their own rules. But we could not longer take it when the attack on police formations, the attack on military formations, the attack on correctional centers, the attack on the INEC offices became intolerable. We said, at this point, we will need to suspend the operations. And for those who are saying under what law, there are so many laws in Nigeria against sedition, against all kind of thing that prohibits this kind of thing. For those who are complaining that Nigeria wants to regulate the social media, I want to just give them 4 or 5 examples. Singapore regulates the social media. Australia does. Even EU, that doesn't have particular regulations on the social media, has made recommendations. In a white paper by the EU, it clearly says that social media platforms that publish content that are harmful to the security of a nation, or even impressionable youth, that such content should be removed. So I don't see why all the noise is coming from. And please, I'm constrained to say this because it's really not in my in my purview. We've seen so many foreign missions come up to condemn the action of Nigeria. Nigerians, please make a distinction between countries that are trying to protect their economic and commercial interests from those countries that actually genuinely love you and talking about freedom of speech. And don't forget for one moment that it's because there's a country called Nigeria that is freedom of speech. If there's no country called it, there'll be no investment. So I do not see why this thing should be so controversial. Unfortunately, our own people are the ones that are giving vent and actually protecting Twitter more than even Twitter itself. Under what guise? Freedom of expression. I believe that Nigeria still ranks among the countries with the freest media in the world today. Otherwise, why would we be discussing this here on a government platform? Now, Facebook, Google Hangout, WhatsApp, Instagram are still operating in Nigeria. So why will hell, why will heavens fall? Because we are trying, one, we are suspending Twitter because it is promoting insurgency. Two, we are regulating OTT and media platforms so that they can pay tax, they can employ people, they can have business in Nigeria, and they can be regulated. So I do not see where the controversy is coming from.
Right, sir. Is there any dialogue at the moment?
Well,
an ongoing dialogue.
I think there's a tepid approach by Twitter. And I say tepid because they've not really, I think it must be on Wednesday, I got a call from one of the foreign missions saying clearly that, saying that Twitter is ready to have serious discussions with high-level members of government on this issue. But since then, mom has been the word. Mom has been the word. So that's why I say tepid. I don't think, as of today, I do not see Twitter as being sincere in their approach to resolve this issue.
I want to just, again, take you back to the reason that the Honourable Minister has given for the suspension. Emanating from, you said it's not your purview, but emanating from the international community, they're saying that the suspension arose because Mr. President's tweet was deleted. Is it coincident that the suspension came at that time?
A country has a right to determine when and where to make pronouncements, policies that threaten its corporate existence. To me, it's relevant that they deleted the president's speech. I've told you the official reason why government cited, which government cited, was because Twitter has become the platform of choice for those who want to destroy this country. And nobody can deny this, not even Twitter. And that takes me also to another issue about Twitter and its founder. I said it at the press conference that the mission of Twitter in Nigeria is suspect, especially Jack Dorsey. During the EndSARS protest, I said Twitter funded the EndSARS protest. And people said, no, I should come and provide proof. An online publication, Cable in particular, went to fact check. They came out with the same conclusion, even though the semantics might be different. They concluded that on the 14th of October, Jack Dorsey actually retweeted some of the posts made by some of the coalition, supporting the EndSARS protest. On the same day, he actually launched a fundraising asking people to donate via Bitcoin. And on the 16th or thereabout, he launched another emoji to make the EndSARS protest more visible on the microblogging site. And on the 21st, again, he retweeted he retweeted the tweets of some foreign and local supporters of the EndSARS. So at the end of the day, have I not been proven right? If you would ask people to donate money via Bitcoin to people supporting EndSARS protests in Nigeria, then you are vicariously liable for whatever happens at the end of the EndSARS, protest. Because you see, people we have forgotten too easily in Nigeria that this EndSARS led to the loss of lives of policemen and soldiers. We lost 37 policemen. We lost 6 policemen. We lost 57 civilians. Properties worth billions of naira were destroyed. So in fact, 164 police vehicles were destroyed, 134 police stations were razed to the ground, 265 private corporate companies were looted, 243 public properties were looted, 81 warehouses were looted, and you are now saying that we don't have a reason to ban Twitter. Wait a minute. And this is why I get upset with people, especially the opposition. There's a time when you have to leave partisan politics and queue behind your country for patriotism. This is one such time.
But this is not the perspective of opposition.
How then do you respond to the suggestions, if not accusations, in some quarters, that this is perhaps a major step in a crackdown on free speech in the country?
No, Kingsley, wait a minute. Look, what are we discussing here? This is a no-holds-barred discussion. Who can cage you, for instance? You in particular. You might not be my staff, but you're my staff. Have you ever shied away from asking me uncomfortable questions?
I have one I'm going to ask.
No, of course I'm here. Now, what I'm saying is that, you see, it's not fair to say this. And I've answered that question at the beginning. I said, it's because it's a country called Nigeria that there is freedom of press or expression. And I said, is there anywhere in the world that the activities of Twitter, if actually proven to be supporting separatist movement, will not be suspended? I want them to say yes or no. And about freedom of press, look, if I open my WhatsApp message to you today, you will see that people in Nigeria simply cannot be controlled. Look at how many online publications we have in Nigeria today. Have we even done anything against those who are condemning government's activities, online publishers, lead of editors, everybody? But you see, as a government, we have a responsibility to protect our sovereignty. We have a responsibility to protect the corporate existence of Nigeria, not just for ourselves, but for the whole of Nigerians. I mean, for the whole of the country.
Precisely.
So those who are saying this is a way to stifle press freedom,
Free speech.
I think they are just being mischievous. Like I said, Facebook is there. Google Hangout is there. Instagram is there. So what are they talking about?
Indeed. Well, of course.
WhatsApp is there.
Good Morning Nigeria used to have a Twitter handle. And you can see on the screen now we're having a Facebook source at NTA GMF for feedback purposes.
Exactly.
Usually for the conversations that we have on the
Kingsley,
program.
thank you for this information.
Yes.
I almost forgot. But Honorable Minister, again, I said I had one uncomfortable question. I'd like you to clarify. Some people, have this notion that, maybe Nigeria is only beefing, Twitter, assuming Twitter had set its operations here, not in Ghana, and this happened. Will the suspension still have been effected?
Of course, yes. Of course, no doubt about it. Whether they are in Ghana or they are in Ireland or they are in Afghanistan, if they stay there and they allow their property to be used to destabilize Nigeria, of course we do. Even if they are in Abuja, we do the same. So it has nothing to do with that. If they are in Abuja here and they use their platform to destabilize Nigeria, then what country do we have? What will be the worth of their investment if there's a war in Nigeria? They stay over there in Accra, and I'm told that we have about, I don't know whether it's correct, that we have about 40 million Twitter users in Nigeria. You are staying in Accra, fine. You are free to choose what your headquarters is going to be. But under Nigerian laws, you cannot do a business in Nigeria without being registered in Nigeria. I must pay taxes. You see, the thing about most of these OTs is that, you see, they operate under the radar. They took the world by storm. You don't know whether they are in communication or they are in information. And every country today is waking up to this. Yesterday, Thursday, Netflix and what is this other giant? Netflix and registered in Turkey, according to the licensing laws of Turkey, just yesterday. On Wednesday, the British Parliament proposed a law that will fine companies that that broadcast things that deal with that are inimical to the to certain groups, £80 million. Recently, France fined, I think it's one of these tech firms, $267 million for antitrust and for unfair practices.
Honourable Minister, I know the examples are many, but why do you think there appears to be the double standard? Because sometimes in the advanced world, when these decisions are being taken with regard to interrogating the operations of tech firms or other online platforms, it is taken as, well, emanating from their laws. But here in our jurisdiction, is it on account of our inchoate legal framework to deal or to respond to issues of tech and then online platforms and all that? Because the speed, if you like, with which a number of foreign voices rose against this, framing it as an assault on fundamental rights of free speech, is something that I don't think has been sufficiently interrogated. Would like to speak on that.
I agree with you absolutely. Like I said, but you see, don't confuse missions and foreign countries who are protecting their commercial and economic interests with those who are actually, protecting free speech. And this is not like, it's not my terrain. The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs and is more competent to speak on this. But clearly, I do not see any honesty or sincerity of purpose in all these comments. I need them to give me answers to just two questions. Is it proper for a platform to be used persistently and continuously to promote views that will lead to the disintegration of Nigeria? And if it happens in their country, what will they do? Secondly, is it wrong for Nigeria to say he wants to license and regulate the operations of OTT and social media platforms, given the fact that even EU has recommended the same thing? And Britain, only on Wednesday, spoke about a law that would regulate the social media. This is why I said they are being practical. Like I said, I don't like commenting on issues that have to do with, relations between Nigeria and other countries. But clearly speaking, on this score, they are being less than honest.
Okay, Honourable Minister, my final question with the time.
Is it the uncomfortable question?
Well, I didn't have it. No, it's not uncomfortable, but it's something that the Honourable Minister will have to clarify for us. As we hear that the licensing issue that came up may be a condition for Twitter to dialogue with Twitter. I don't know if that is true, but if that isn't, Honourable Minister, and Twitter does not respond, how are we going to deal with the millions of young Nigerians whose sorts of livelihood will be affected or has been affected?
clear. Would there be a Nigeria?
No, that is a matter. That also is a matter.
No, listen. Would there be a country in Nigeria for them to earn a living if there's a war?
No, absolutely
On the contrary, most of these countries that are urging the youth on will be the first to supply weapons to both sides of the divide if there's a war in Nigeria. Now, I've made myself very clear on this matter. There are other options. When you deactivated your Twitter, you went to Facebook. Why must Twitter continue, not remorseful? And you see, I will determine as a sovereign nation the conditions under which you are going to do business with me. Just like when Nigerians go to South Africa, they give them rules and regulations. If you cannot meet it, you get out. So I don't think we should belabor this issue. Let our youth, if Twitter is suspended indefinitely, let them understand that it is for their own sake. It's because we want to keep this country one. It's because we want people to respect our sovereignty. I don't know why this is so difficult for people to understand. That if we say, come and register in Nigeria, so that we can get more jobs for you. How many people does Twitter employ in Nigeria today? The Nigerians claim that billions of naira are lost daily because of the Twitter suspension. To who? Not the government. And those who are saying that the suspension is not effective, then why are they complaining about loss of revenue? But for us, we are not doing this to win, ovation or accolade from anybody. We are doing it because we believe it is in the utmost interest of Nigeria to so do.
All right. Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Mohammed, would like to thank you for being with us in Good Morning Nigeria today. We do know that going forward, a number of issues will continue to arise from this, including, of course, how Nigerians themselves are responding to the new deal, as it were.
But I must say this before I go. Interestingly enough, I've also had a lot of support and encouragement from well-meaning Nigerians, both outside and inside. I think, and I want to take the opportunity to express my appreciation to them.
All right, thank you. I was going to mention the other leg of it because some weeks ago on Good Morning Nigeria, when we were discussing with tech experts, the issue came up as to how young Nigerians can be encouraged to develop more apps that could be available to us. And I recall raising that question, whether you can cross-communicate across apps. They said no, that if you have an app and then you have the numbers in terms of our population, that becomes an opportunity. So let's see how that goes. It's a matter we will discuss going forward. Honorable Minister, once again, we thank you for being around. All right.
Thank you very much.
It's Good Morning Nigeria, and we are still on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Our second topic for today, of course, has to do with discussing the second anniversary of the 9th National Assembly. Let's listen into this background by Ekene Undulwe.